In this video, we will provide an overview of Composer, both in terms of what the technology is and how it's used in relation to Drupal. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to understand the purpose and benefits of using Composer and understand some key Composer concepts. Composer is a dependency manager for PHP, which allows you to add and manage packages and libraries as dependencies in your project. Using Composer enables you to utilize a wide range of third-party code. In terms of Drupal, this allows us to install any module hosted on Drupal.org with ease. Wider use of Composer allows you to define scripts which execute based on specific conditions, update modules and include all their required dependencies, set up patching definitions to automatically apply necessary patches, as well as a vast array of other functionality. Composer is a very beneficial tool which can simplify and speed up site management when utilized correctly. There are three key ways Composer can be beneficial. It ensures that required dependencies are detected and brought in with module installation and updating. It prevents potentially harmful updates from happening by using package metadata. And it can simplify site management with most setup done in a single Composer JSON file. Let's dive into each of these a bit further to better understand the benefit Composer can bring to site management. As described previously, Composer is a dependency manager. To put it simply, this means that it's a software that provides a standardized format for the integration of external packages and libraries into your application. To apply that to Drupal, our application would be our website, and the external packages would be any module hosted on Drupal.org. Traditionally, if you were to update a Drupal module, you would essentially remove the old version and insert the new one. Increasingly though, certain modules can require certain dependencies and services in order to work correctly. The beauty of Composer is that all this information of what a module needs to run, along with the required versions, can be passed to Composer from Drupal.org. This ensures that when you apply an update to a module or core, any additional code required to make that particular version work will be brought in as well. Having Composer manage dependencies makes module installation much easier, as you greatly reduce the risk of an error appearing after the update, and your team doesn't need to spend any time manually determining which dependencies are required. One of the major strengths of using Drupal is the abundance of contributed modules and code, which can be applied to any site to add a wealth of functionality. However, as each of these projects may have different maintainers and contributors, occasionally there may be instances where upgrading to a particular module version can introduce issues and incompatibility between core and modules. A huge benefit to using Composer is that if there are concerns over incompatibility between versions, this information can be added to releases. This would mean that if you attempt to update to a version that is incompatible with your current site setup, Composer won't update to the latest, potentially harmful version. Instead, it will update to the most appropriate version based on your current core and module versions. A recent example of this would be the Path Auto module. An issue was identified that if a user updated their core to the latest version, they could experience data loss if they were running an older version of Path Auto. By having extra metadata about this particular scenario, Composer prevented updates to the latest core if it detected an outdated Path Auto. Composer uses a couple of key files to analyze and interact with your site, composer.json and the composer.lock file. The composer.json file is a way to instruct Composer about how it should interact with your site. It acts as a rough guide for which core and module versions should be installed. The composer.lock file, on the other hand, is an exact record of the dependency versions that have been installed. Out of these two, you will only really be interacting with and editing the composer.json file. Any changes you make to the composer.json or the results of any Composer commands that you run will be reflected in the composer.lock. At first glance, a composer.json may appear to be a little confusing, but once you're familiar with how it works and how to work with it, having a single file to specify site-wide changes will save development time and simplify site management. In this lesson, we discuss the benefits of Composer and gain some familiarity of key Composer concepts. Recall our objectives for this lesson.